Lesson 8, I will identify and measure angles as terms. So we've been talking about measuring and drawing angles using a protractor, and we've been measuring angles using degrees. Well, today we're going to talk about when you measure an angle as a turn. I'm going to show you a little bit more about what that means. All right, so here's your problem set. I want you to go ahead and put your name at the top, and let's take a look by reading the directions of number 1. Joe, Steve, and Bob stood in the middle of the yard and faced the house. Okay, so here's the yard. And just pretend that they're staying right here and they're facing the house. That means they're looking right towards the house. Joe turned 90 degrees to the right. Steve turned 180 degrees to the right, and Bob turned 270 degrees to the right. To what was each boy now facing? I want you to think about what we just did and just kind of make a guess. Okay, first of all, pretend you're Joe. All right, so you're Joe and you're standing right here, and you make a 90-degree turn to the right. So think about which way is right. Okay, so you're facing the house and you make a 90-degree turn to the right. So if you were Joe and you turned 90 degrees, you would now be facing the fence. So let's put fence here. All right, see if you can figure out what Steve would be facing if he, again, is facing the house and he makes a 180-degree turn to the right. Okay, so this is a 90-degree turn. You can tell because it's a right angle. So he faces the fence. That means a 90-degree turn. But he goes 180 degrees. So he has to go another 90 degrees. So now Steve is facing the tree. All right, see if you can figure out where Bob was facing. He starts by facing the house, and he turns 270 degrees. So he's going to turn 90 degrees and be facing the fence. Turn 90 degrees more, he's facing the tree. Now he's gone 180 degrees. He's going to go 90 degrees more, and now he is facing the barn. Okay? All right, let's take a look at number 2. Monique looked at the clock at the beginning of class and at the end of class. How many degrees did the minute hand turn from the beginning of class until the end? Take a look at this clock, and you can kind of see, you know how a clock works. And the hour hand is going to move as the minute hand has moved, but you can see that it has not gone to the next hour because it's 11 o'clock here, and here it's 11:45. So it hasn't gone all the way around. It's only gone part of the way around. So when you think about how many degrees did this minute hand go, if it started here and it went past the 3, past the 6, and past the 9, you can look back at the last problem to see if you can figure out how many degrees. Were you thinking this? 270 degrees? Because the clock hand moved 3/4 of a way around the clock, which is 270 degrees, right? The skater jumped into the air and did a 360. What does that mean? So think about what we just said just a minute ago, 360 degrees. How does that relate to a circle and a turn? Well, hopefully you said that if a skater jumped into the air and did a 360, that means that the skater jumped in the air, well, good grief, and made a full turn. Okay, so what I mean by that is if the skater was facing me, he jumped in the air and turned all the way around so that he was still facing me before he came back to the ground. All right, see if you can do number 4 by yourself. Go ahead and pause the video and then come back and let's check it together. Martin drove away from his house without his wallet. He did a 180. Where is he headed now? So he drives away from his house, and then he does a 180. So if he does a 180, that means that he's going to make not just a 90-degree turn, he's going to make a full 180-degree turn. So that means that now he is headed back to his house. Where is he headed now? So I would say Mr. Martin is headed back to his house. Hopefully, this is starting to make a little bit more sense to you now. All right, let's take a look at the next problem. John turned the knob of the shower 270 degrees to the right. Draw a picture showing the position of the knob after he turned it. Pause the video and see if you can draw the knob where you think it would go, and then come back and let's check it and see if we agree. All right, so if the knob starts to face this way, that would be a 90-degree turn. And then if it faced this way, that would be 180 degrees. But then if it faced this way, that would be another 90 degrees, which would be 270 degrees. So the correct answer would be to draw the knob facing here, and that would be a 270-degree turn. Barb used her scissors to cut out a coupon from the newspaper. How many quarter turns did she need to turn the paper in order to stay on the lines? All right, so see if you can figure that out and then come back. All right, well, she's cutting, right? So she starts off cutting this way, and then she's going to make one turn here, and then she's going to make another turn here, and then she's going to need to make another turn here, and then she'll be back here. So if she went all the way around, she would end up with 4 quarter turns. So because if her scissors are here, she'd have to turn it this way. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. So she would need to make 4 quarter turns to make a full circle. All right. How many quarter turns does the picture need to be rotated in order for it to be upright? Well, depends on which way you turn it. You could have said that you could turn the page once this way, 1 quarter turn this way, and that would make it upright. But if you turned it this way, you would have to make 3 quarter turns, because when you turn it this way, it'd be upside down, and then you turn it again, it would be facing this way, and then you'd have to turn it this way, so that would be 1, 2, 3. So I would take either. I would say you could say 1 quarter turn, or you could say 3. Depends on which way you turn it. Because if you turn the paper this way, then you would have to turn it 3 times. But if you turned it once to the left, you would only have to turn it once. All right, see if you can read number 8 all by yourself, and then come back and let's check it together and see if you have it correct. Meredith faced north. She turned 90 degrees to the right, and then 180 degrees more. What direction was she now facing? Okay, so she's facing north, and then she makes a 90-degree turn. So that 90-degree turn would make her facing east. I'm going to change the color here so we can see this a little better. All right, so she makes a 90-degree turn. All right, then it says she turns 180 degrees more. So this would be 90 and another 180 degrees. So now she is facing west. So I'm going to type this because I could type a little bit faster than I can write. It looks a little bit neater. So I would say Meredith is facing west. Okay, so hopefully you have a little bit better understanding of how you can measure turns, measure angles using turns. If you get confused, you can always look back at your problem set and go back and look at your clock and think about which way would be 90 degrees. Think of them as right angles, and that will help you with the degrees.